Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Hopefully, you can all hear and see me okay. Thank you very much for joining us on this Thursday afternoon, wherever you are listening in from. Today, we are joined by Jake Roscoe, and we're hosting a webinar all around wrapping up your currency strategy for the new year. My name is Sebastian Bampton, and I'm one of the account managers over here at your overseas home. It's great to have you all here with us, whether you are listening in live or on demand. And as I mentioned, for this seminar, we are going to be talking to Jake Roscoe, who is an account manager at Smart Currency, understanding about how you can navigate and protect yourself from currency risk for your plans throughout 2025 and into the future. Jake, I'll pass over to you to do a quick intro, and then we will go through into the next steps of the webinar. So yeah, thanks for joining, Jake. Over to you.
Sounds good. Hi Seb. Hi everyone. Thanks for the intro. My name's Jake Roscoe. I work for Smart Currency Exchange, and we've been operating now for 20 years. And we're specialists in helping clients with their overseas property purchase. So we help thousands of clients manage their currency risk when purchasing a property abroad. Fully based in the UK, but we have offices in other places such as Spain, for example. We also have people on the ground in Spain, France, Portugal, a couple of other places as well. So yeah, happy to be here. I presume we have, people on all over their property journey with us. So it'd be nice to, hear from you guys as well, where you are on that journey. And hopefully I can answer most of your questions today.
Thanks, Jake. Yeah, great to have you here again. I know we've done a couple of these together, and you've managed to get through all the questions and answers without any curveballs so far. But if there is anyone listening in that has any questions, this will be sort of a question and answer style session. Jake does have a presentation that he'll take you through. Please feel free to ask any questions in the questions tab at the bottom right hand side of your screen. If there's questions that you have about certain slides, please pop them in there live, and we will probably just jump in, Jake, and just put the questions towards you as and when they come through. We've got about half an hour, just under now, so I don't want to take up too much time me talking to be up here pressed for time. So Jake, I'll pass it over to you again. If you can take us away with your presentation, and looking forward to it.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Seb. So this is myself, as you can see, with a little bit more hair on the top of my head. So I can guarantee we are the same person. Look a bit different there. Okay, I'm going to go in straight into the first slide. This presentation is based around what we call the currency casino. So my first question to everyone on the call is, would you go into the casino and put £25,000 of your hard-earned cash on red and black, or red or black, should I say? I know my answer is definitely no. We might have a few risk takers on here, but I doubt there's many people that would, risk that kind of money in a casino. So essentially what you're doing in the currency, it's a similar situation as what you're doing with the currency markets with your overseas property purchase. The markets could go one way or another. And with large transactions such as a property purchase, we're basing ours off £250,000. This is the amount of money that is at risk when you're moving those kinds of sums of money. So moving on to the next slide, why do exchange rates move? We'll probably have a few people on the call that watch the markets a bit closer than others. If you're signed up to Smart Currency already, you'll get what we call a daily currency note into your inbox, which gives you a snippet of what the currency markets are doing and how things are looking for the future. But as said here on the slides, the currency markets are the most frequently traded on the planet, and they are moving every second of every day, which means they can be highly volatile. They're affected by a lot of different things, such as political situations, conflicts, for example. Anything that happens in the world can affect currency markets. There's a lot of political events that have happened this year, such as we all know, Mr. Donald Trump of late getting into power, as well as some other people in other countries getting into power as well. So market sentiment plays plays a big role in where the markets are moving at that given time. And like it says here at the bottom, the markets can be highly unpredictable. So it's definitely, you need to be prepared for the movements that can happen when you are, buying an overseas property and paying in a foreign currency. Here just is a snippet of some things that have happened over the last couple of years which have affected the markets. Like I said on the previous slide, politics is a big part of that. UK elections, French elections, US elections, these all play parts on, the pound versus the dollar or the pound versus the euro, which are the most, popular currency pairs that we trade here at Smart Currency. We've had a cost of living crisis post-COVID, which again, inflation skyrocketed, as we all know, and we all felt with our grocery shopping and other things as well, getting a lot higher over the past couple of years. Inflation, like I've just mentioned, then we've got interest rates as well, which are still high at 4.75 in the UK. The European Central Bank have just reduced their interest rates today for the fourth time this year, so things are coming down. But again, this plays a part in how the currency markets are moving. And I don't like to mention conflicts too much, but they are obviously important for everyone. The Ukraine war, the Gaza conflict, like I mentioned before, changing government, and of course the budget, which was very highly publicised for a lot of the wrong reasons, as we all know. Quite probably the biggest budget we've had for a long time here in the UK. All these things have an influence on the currency markets and how much you're able to afford in that foreign country. In this case, we like to say euros, but a European country, but it also could be a US in the US as well. Here's chip in whenever you want, Seb. If there's any questions that you think are relevant to any slides, feel free to stop me. All good. I know might be rattling through it quite fast.
There is one, Jay, but I think it's from John. He's asked. He doesn't quite understand what smart currency do. I don't want to answer it. Ask it right at the beginning, because I hopefully these slides are kind of giving that understanding about what it is smart currency do. And I know some of the latter slides will give that explanation. So I'll keep going with you, Jake, and then if there's anything that comes in, I'll put it towards you.
Perfect. Sounds good. So here's an example of what GBP or pound and euro did in 2023. So as you can see here, there was a 6% difference between the highest points and the lowest points last year. Now, 6% might not seem a lot, but 6% on, if your budget is £250,000, it could be the difference between your legal fees, your notary fees, your swimming pool that you want to put in your nice new Spanish villa, something like that. That could be the difference of you being able to afford to do that or not. So, these currency swings are very important, especially when we're talking about larger sums of money. So from my side, my advice would be try and educate yourself as much as possible, be as prepared as possible. Everybody's situation is different, and everybody's case is unique. So the sooner you understand these markets and how much money you have at risk and what your budget is in a foreign currency, the better equipped you will be with buying that overseas property and basically making your dream come true, basically.
Jake, just on this slide, we've got a question from Alex. So Alex asked, there's a 6% difference. I think that's from January 2023 to January 2024. Alex said that he's over 6 months away from purchasing, hasn't found the property yet. What options does he actually have in regards to taking advantage perhaps of the rate that it is today in preparation for 6 months' time? I don't know if you can shed any light on what kind of options that could be used to help lock that in or perhaps protect him.
Yeah, of course. I've got a slide on. We have options here at Smart. So one thing that a currency broker gives you versus, for example, your high street bank is different options and different types of contract that you can make the most of with your overseas currency. One thing that ties really well into a property purchase is something called a forward contract. excuse me, this is I'll go into this in a bit more depth later, but it basically, if you see a rate that you like, for example, at the moment we're trading around about 121 GBP to euro, which has been the best rate it's been for nearly 3 years. So obviously it's a very attractive rate, especially if you're certain about your plans. What the forward contract allows you to do is it will allow you to fix today's rate. We'll take a small deposit off yourself of around about 5% to fix that rate. And then we will deliver this rate on the date of your completion. Now, in this situation, you might not have a date of completion yet. That's fine. We can do it up to 12 months usually as a max. So if this is something that you're trying to take advantage of, I'd definitely tell you to have a chat with one of us at our team at Smart Currency, and we can give you a bit of guidance on what your options are and how we think you should operate moving forwards.
Okay, thanks, Jay. Yeah, thanks for the question as well, Alex. I know there's a couple more coming through, so keep them coming. I think I'll put a couple of Chris. I've got a question here as well. I will get around to that after the next couple of slides. But yeah, Jay,
okay.
Over to you.
Perfect. Yeah, I will go into I've got a slide on forward contracts, which will explain it a little bit in further detail. That was just a snippet for now.
Yeah, great.
Perfect. So how does currency risk actually arise? So, we like to break down the overseas property purchase in a few different stages. So you could probably identify where you are along this journey. A lot of people are in research phase who might be looking on property portals such as, your overseas home property portal. You might be doing a bit of research online, watching some of the property shows, going to exhibitions or attending a virtual event. And then, just looking at a few different areas, what country you want to be in, what area you want to be in, how much you can actually afford in certain areas. All this constitutes what we call the research phase. And then once your plans are a bit more solidified, then you usually start contacting some estate agents, want to try and book a viewing trip out to an area or a couple of areas that you've narrowed down and start looking at a few properties. Now, we like to tell people to try and get in touch with us before your viewing trip. The reason is because until you actually speak to a currency specialist, you don't know how much, you know how much money you have in pounds, but you don't know what that budget is going to be in euros. And obviously it's constantly moving. So what we can provide you is what we call a currency plan, which will give you, an exact idea of how much you're able to spend in euros. So when you are, and let's just take euros as an example, could be dollars as well. So then when you are going out on your viewing trip, it gives you an idea of how much, what the prices of the properties that you want to be looking at is and what you can afford versus what you can't afford. So the sooner you can get in touch with ourselves or another broker, the better, in my opinion. And it just gives you a good idea of what options are available on the table. And then on the viewing trip, which is obviously the fun part, you might be out there in Spain sipping a glass of sangria, and you really like a property that you've viewed with an agent. You put an offer in and the offer gets accepted. So obviously things can move quite quickly out there. If you see a property that you like and you're ready to go ahead with it, then straight away you'll have to start making payments. So in Spain, France, Portugal, all the situations are a little bit different, but in some cases you might be asked to pay a reservation deposit. In Spain, for example, it's €3,000 once you get your offer accepted. So at this point of having your offer accepted, you're then susceptible to what we call currency risk. So here's a question for you. Would you buy a property in the UK would you buy a property in the UK not knowing how much it's going to cost you on the day of completion? Seb, for example, would you buy a property in the UK not knowing how much it's going to cost you on completion?
I like a risk, Jay, but I don't know. I think when you're talking about the types of money that you are, especially here in the UK, but also in Europe, I potentially would hedge some risk and see how things are. Obviously, look into the future and see if there's any key events. But that's my personal risk tolerance. If it was my dream property, probably wouldn't take a risk, if I'm honest, Jake.
Exactly. So once you've had your offer accepted, it might take 60, 90, 120 days for that completion to happen. In that time, you are susceptible to what we call currency risk. If you're buying a new build property, it could be even longer than that. You might have stage payments. So as an example here, your offer is accepted on, say, for example, today at 250,000. which, and this isn't the exact rate of today's date, is it could be £210,000. On the day of your completion, the price is still €250,000, but this now could be £235,000 if the market have gone against you, which is the £25,000 that we said about at the beginning of this presentation. And this could be the currency risk that you're susceptible to between your offer being accepted and the day of completion. Let me just have a quick glass of water.
Just going back to that last slide, Jake. I know Smart Currency and your overseas home have been working with each other for a number of years, and you've helped countless numbers of clients manage that currency risk. Just to add in, I think a lot of people that are buying property, and it doesn't just have to be for property, but a lot of people buying property, they kind of think about currency at the point where they find the property and then think, now I need to start thinking about the currency. Where your overseas home clients, and they fed back to us about the value of how Smart's helped them, is really before they go across on that viewing trip and understanding the currency plan. Just because, but I know Smart aren't saying, lock in a rate, then and there, it's very good, but at least being aware of it, because probably find the property is the hardest part of the process, and then things can fall into place, and then you've got the deposit, and just the more time you have, the better. So, everyone listening in, you're in the right place so far. If those are your plans, and you're one step ahead of everyone else. But having that conversation early, I think, is just going to help you and help protect you potentially of thousands of euros, or thousands of pounds, or thousands of dollars in currency risk. Just wanted to highlight that currency plan part there, Jake. But yeah, I'll pass back over to you.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Seb. Appreciate that. So moving on to the next slide, this goes into a bit more depth of what I was talking about before, which is an option that we have here at Smart Currency called forward contract. So say, for example, you've got pounds, you're looking for euros, or you're looking for a property in Spain or France. You're looking to buy euros. At the moment is a really good time to buy because we're at almost 3-year highs. So say, let's just take roughly a rate from today. Let's say you're looking in a rate of 120. Just to give you an estimate. What the forward contract allows you to do is agree that rate today, and then we can deliver that on the date of your completion. So whether that be 3 months, 6 months, up to 12 months, that means that all the currency risk in between today's date and that day of completion is now eliminated. So you're guaranteed to have that rate on the date of when you're completing. So a lot of our clients here at Smart Currency use this forward contract because it ties in nicely with reducing their risk or removing their risk, and knowing exactly how much money they're going to be paying on day 90, 120, whatever that is, for their overseas property.
Jake, just going back, I know you mentioned earlier forward contract as well. Did you say there was a deposit for a forward contract? How does that work?
Correct, yeah. So we will ask you for a 5% deposit of the total amount that you're about to buy. That's just so we can fix that rate for you. And then the rest of the 95% of the pounds will be paid on the day of completion. So that's how that works.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah. So here's just a case study of, I know it's a little bit outdated, but it gives you an idea of, a client that hasn't used a forward contract, how much money they, what the difference in price was between them getting their offer accepted in March of 2022 for €300,000 versus their day of when they got to the day of completion. Their property in Spain was in the Costa Blanca was still €300,000, but that €300,000 was now costing them £269,000. As you can see there, them not choosing this forward contract cost them an extra £21,000. Not everybody has this to be able to complete on their property. So why would you take that gamble?
Chris has got a really good question that has been in the questions tab for a couple of slides now, Jake. Yeah. I don't know if it's a good time to answer it now or maybe towards the end, because I'm actually very interested to know how you're going to get back to it. So I'll wait for now, Jake, and then at the end I'll put it towards you. Thanks for holding fire, Chris.
Looking forward to it. So here's a few reasons why a lot of people use a foreign exchange specialist for their overseas property purchase. Like I said before, the main thing for everyone on this webinar is understand your options, understand what currency risk is, understand your personal scenario and your personal case, and understand exactly how much money is at risk when you're not using something like a forward contract. You can agree a currency plan. We touched on this earlier as well. Before you go on your viewing trip, you have a good idea of exactly how much money you're able to spend in that foreign currency. So then you're really well prepared to be able to be looking at properties within your budget, and something that you can, if you see the property of your dreams, you're able to secure that there and then on that viewing trip. We touched on forward contracts again, but I cannot stress how important these are for overseas property purchases. They do tie in really nicely, and especially at the moment when the rates are so good, it's very useful to be able to lock in that rate for a small fee or a small deposit. We also deal with ongoing transfers, so we're not just here to help you with that deposit or that big transaction. We can also help you with smaller mortgage payments, for example, that you've got in a foreign currency, or if you have a pension that you're cashing in the UK, we can also set up what we call a regular payment plan for that pension. So you're knowing exactly how much you can fix a rate again up to 12 months in advance, so you know exactly how many euros you're going to be getting for your pension in the UK for up to 12 months. So we have clients, like I said before, we've been established for 20 years, and we have clients that have bought a house through us, used us to buy their house in Spain or France, have been paying their mortgage with us for the past 15, 20 years, and then decided to sell their property and transfer their funds back to the UK with us. So we can do a full cycle of, overseas property purchase and sale. And we're not just here for overseas property either. If you've got any other foreign transactions, we can help with those too. Here's a quick snippet of how the process works. Like I said before, speak to an expert early. The earlier you can, the better, to understand your case and your budget and agree your currency plan. And then obviously the exciting part, which we don't really get involved with, but it's definitely the most exciting part, is finding your dream home, wherever that may be. And then once you go through the offer negotiations, then you get your offer accepted. And then from there, you can execute your currency plan. So if you've got that point of contact with Smart Currency, you'll have a designated account manager that you can just pick up the phone to, or UK based. And you're able to just, once you've got that offer accepted, if you haven't got in touch with us beforehand, you can have your account set up and the funds sent over to a foreign country within 24 hours and secure your exchange rate with us. And then completion day is obviously, paying for the balance of your property in the foreign currency. And the main bit, which is the most important bit, is enjoying your new home for the next few years, however many years. So we tie in nicely with this property journey and how much you need with your foreign currency. Here's just a Here's just a snippet of some of our values and what we've achieved over the years. Like I said before, we're overseas property specialists. We're exclusive currency partners for your overseas homes and some other UK brands. More than 12 billion transferred over the years, over 45,000 clients helped. We have a really good Trustpilot score. And like I said before, all our team is UK based, and you can pick up the phone within business hours and talk to your account manager once you have an account set up. It is completely free to open an account. It's for a UK national. It takes about 5 minutes. We just do a couple of checks for you. And once you do have that account open, if you're a bit longer term, you'll go with the currency planning team, which will be able to help you with the currency plan. And if your requirement is imminent, we'll send you straight to the account management team, and they'll be able to help you, understand your options and hopefully get your trade across the line as soon as possible. I think that's it from myself. If there's any more questions, please, I think Seb, you've got a couple, but please fire them across. I'm here for probably another 5 minutes or so.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you, Jack. I know you're battling a bit of a flu at the moment, so
Yeah,
you
sorry
did
about
really
that.
well there, getting through that presentation. And thank you for sharing how Smart can help and the options that are available to our listeners, and basically how you can hopefully save them potentially thousands of pounds or thousands of euros, dollars, whatever currency it is that they're looking for. Yeah, there's a couple of questions. I know we've got about 5 minutes to go through. We'll try and get around to answering many of these questions as possible. Now, the question that I know I mentioned earlier was from Chris. Hopefully, throughout the presentation, Chris, you've got a bit more of an understanding about what Smart do differently to perhaps another broker that you use, or another provider that you use. But basically, Jake, Chris has asked, has mentioned that he's got a Starling multi-currency account. When the pound is strong, Chris will buy euros and keep them in the euro account. What does a smart currency offer that is better than perhaps using Starling or perhaps Revolut or TransferWise? What would you say are the main unique selling points in comparison to those sort of platforms?
That is a good question. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not 100% sure if you have an account manager at Starling, but like I said before, you've got a personal account manager here assigned to your account that you're able to speak to either via email or phone call. We also have an online platform like Starling as well, so if you do want to do everything online, you're more than welcome to do that. We are, like I said before, we're overseas property specialists. This is what we do. We've done it for 20 years and we're very good at it, and we understand how the overseas buy-in process works and where we need to plug in for yourself. And also, I'm not sure if Starling offer the types of contract that we've been speaking about. So, for example, forward contracts, which tie in very nicely with overseas property purchases as a whole. Not unsure if they offer that or not. So, they would be my three key differences, really.
Perfect. Thanks, Jake. And yeah, Chris, hopefully that helps. I know one of my colleagues at Your Overseas Home had a similar conversation with a potential buyer over, I think, in Portugal, and it got me thinking. If I was to buy a property, and hopefully in the future, I'll be in the position to, would I trust myself to kind of monitor the market and then also pick a good time, perhaps, to make a spot transaction for, let's say, €1 million, whatever it may be in the future? And I think I'd rather have a bit of guidance from someone that works on this every day and give me some different options to perhaps Starling, Revolut, whatever it may be, and see what they can offer. But yeah, really good question, and really good answer. Thanks both. Now, going back to I think it was the forward contract. Anthony has asked around showing complete numbers. So I think show a case including a small fee for a forward contract. If it's 5% of the purchase price, then it is similar to the 6% change in the X rate, therefore little protection. So just going back to the actual deposit, can you just explain? I think Anthony is asking around the deposit for a forward contract, how that works, and also that's not really a payment to Smart, is it? It's a deposit for that transaction. So do you mind just clarifying that, Jake?
Yeah, so that's not an additional that's not an additional payment on top of the exchange. That is literally, you'll be paying 5% of your total amount that you're buying. So say, for example, it's 250,000 euros, you'd be paying 12,500. Sorry, I'm not going to get into numbers, but you'll be paying
100,000 euros.
Yeah, let's just do £100,000. Let's do £100,000 into euros. If you're buying euros from pounds, you'll pay £5,000, and then you pay the £95,000 on the day of completion. So it's not additional, if that makes sense. It's not that one thing doesn't counteract the other.
Okay, great. So I guess the 5% that I would pay today to lock in that rate is then just to hold it until the point where I complete, and then I'll pay the remainder 95%.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, great stuff. Hopefully, Anthony, that answers your question. And yeah, Jake, thanks very much. I made it clear for myself. If not, Anthony, what I'll say, we'll pass your details across to Jake and the team at Smart. They can explain it in a bit more detail. So John has asked a question here. If I'm paying cash for my foreign property, how does that affect the process? So I presume with Smart, it's everything is cash, right? Everything has to go through. Or is it cash in hand, or is it through bank transfers? How does that work?
Yeah, so unfortunately, back back in the day, my father's in overseas property, so people used to turn up to the notary with bags of hundreds of thousands of euros. That's not the case anymore. Everything we do, we have to do via bank transfer. So we ask for proof of funds. Everything you transfer the funds to us here at Smart in the UK, and then we will deliver the euros for you to whatever bank account you want to in the foreign country. So yeah, it's all digital nowadays. There's no physical cash, I'm afraid.
Sure. Okay, great. I have just a question around that. I know, Jake, we're running over. You okay just for a few
Yeah,
more
of
questions?
course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
brilliant. Just on that note, obviously we're talking about perhaps transferring large quantities of people's savings, retirement, pensions, whatever. How do our listeners know that the funds are secure, and what is the process of actually transferring you funds and then passing them across to solicitors or whatever it may be on the other end?
Yeah. So your whatever funds you transfer to us, they'll be in a client segregated account. We're also FCA authorized. So your money is secure. We can't touch your actual funds that you send to us. They all go into, like I said before, a segregated account. And then we will deliver those, whatever you've purchased, whether it be euros or dollars, we can send that to whatever account you want us to. Some cases, people like it going into their own bank account in the foreign country. In other cases, it goes to lawyers. And in some cases, it might even go to us directly to estate agents as well. But we're flexible on where the money goes to. That depends on what you want to do with it, basically. But yeah, your money's safe. Like I said before, we've been around for 20 years now. You can check us out on Company's House as well. We're not going anywhere anytime soon.
That's reassuring. I hope not, Jake, because it's good working with you guys. I know I say from my experience, which is a number of years. I wouldn't say it's a long career so far in overseas property, but yeah, we've heard nothing but good things from clients that we've introduced to. So that's always good news. John asked a question just a little bit earlier around the forward contract and the deposit, and the follow-up question is kind of, I suppose, how do Smart Currency make their money, or what's the fee to Smart Currency if there is no fee? If that deposit is deposit for the forward contract, where does Smart make their money within the process?
Yeah, it's a good question, and probably one of the most important ones. So the way that it works is we charge a small percentage on the exchange rate. So obviously the market's trading at what we call the interbank rate, which is the rate that the banks buy currency in their billions on a daily basis. That rate isn't actually accessible to mere mortals like myself or you, Seb, or people on this call. So the way that we operate is we buy chunks of currency off the banks, and then we sell it to individuals with a small percentage on top. But any price that you are given on the phone or online, all the charges are already within that price. And we don't ever do any transfers unless you give us authorization to do so. So there'll be no hidden charges, there'll be no transfer fees, which in some cases with high street banks, you might be, you're definitely going to be charged more than you are with us through fees and also through exchange rate differences. So the best thing, in my opinion, is to get in touch with us, open a free account. You can see what pricing is available to you and how we can help you.
Okay, great. That's really clear. Thanks, Jake. Yeah, I think it is what your overseas home try and inform people that are looking to buy property. And I know there may be some other sort of currency exchange requirements within our listeners today, but speak to people early. It doesn't cost you anything at all. There's no obligation as well to actually use your services, but it is very transparent. So when Smart will quote you a quote on your exchange, there is no hidden costs. It's all, everything you see there is what you'll be paying. And I know from feedback that Smart's helped countless number of our clients save thousands of pounds within that, and help them protect them from negative market movements, which are always a risk, unfortunately. Hugh, I know Hugh, you've got a question here. Hopefully we've answered it already. So Hugh just asked, does this cost to secure a rate? And I think that's in regards to the forward contract. Again, just to highlight, so you'd pay a deposit, I think it's about 5%, you mentioned, Jake.
Yeah.
And then you'll pay the remainder 95% of that contract on the day that you need the funds. And there isn't sort of a cost to that, but it's built into that rate that smart currency would offer you. Brilliant. So I think we have answered most of the questions. The ones that we haven't, as I said, I'll pass all your details across to Jake and the team at Smart Currency. And yeah, they'll hopefully get in touch with you. Everyone's requirements are different and unique. So it's worthwhile to have that conversation, understand how they can help, understand your options, and then you can go away with the peace of mind knowing that you're aware and knowledgeable about what to do within this part of the journey. We've gone slightly over, Jake, so thanks for hanging around. And also, yeah, thanks for being here again. So I found it really useful. I've learned some more useful tips and information about currency exchange. So yeah, much appreciated as always. For everyone listening in, thank you very much for your time and thank you for joining. Hopefully you have found it useful. You've taken away at least some of the presentation. And if you have, there should be a Trustpilot pop up on your screen. We would really appreciate it if you have found it useful to please leave us a nice review. And best of luck with your plans overseas. If there's anything that your overseas home or Smart Currency can do, either scan that QR code for Smart or please just get in touch with your overseas home. Thanks again, Jake, and thanks to all the listeners. Have a nice evening and looking forward to seeing you all soon.
Thanks, Seb. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Have a nice evening. Have a good Christmas. Take care.
Cheers, Jake. Have a good Christmas, guys. Thank you.
Bye.